Hey there, one and all, it is your boy, it is your papa, it is your uncle. I am very deep in your family tree, Yammy Noob. Today's video is for the bike-curious viewers. Wait a minute, that's not right, that's weird. The cycle-curious, bike-curious? I think I'll go with that one. Okay, the bike-curious folks are people who want to ride motorcycles, but either haven't made the jump yet, or are very new to the sport. All right? That's you guys. I'm trying to get y'all into the fold. Motorcycling is super fun. Let's go. When non-riders think about motorcycles, what do they think of? Sons of Anarchy, their alcoholic uncle, the person they knew from their high school that had an involuntary appendage removal procedure after low-siding their R6 under a semi-truck? Youch. For the general public, motorcycles are kind of a one-dimensional prop that they truly know very little about. For those who are interested in riding themselves, they probably have a more slightly detailed understanding of what motorcycling is like. But most of it probably still stems from stereotypical cliches or pop culture references. So today, we're going to talk about 5 things no one tells you about motorcycles, the real nitty-gritty details, the finest minutia that keeps us lifelong riders enthralled with the lifestyle, or the esoteric annoyances that all riders will eventually come to relate to. Let's get into it. The first thing no one tells you about riding motorcycles is just how many dangerous hazards you'll encounter while riding. And I know what you're thinking. I'm not talking about cars. I'm sure you've made it public knowledge that you intend to start following the two-wheeled gospel. Plenty of people have been quick to tell you how dangerous other motorists are. The texting and driving teen mom in the 25-year-old minivan blowing coolant out of the exhaust pipe, or the drunk stepdad driving back to the job site after having 6 beers on his lunch break at the strip club, or that rogue self-driving Tesla that's programmed to literally eliminate any motorcyclist who has written a slanderous YouTube comment about electric motorcycles. But little people talk about the real dangers on the road, the small projectiles that can leave you bitten, burned, or bruised depending on their point of impact. When you drive in a car, your complete enclosure shields you from countless small rocks that are thrown up by cars and trucks every single day. You only take notice when one is large enough or hits you hard enough to chip or crack your windshield. But even the smallest rocks hurt like hell when they come in contact with your body when you're going on freeway speeds on a motorcycle. Even the small rocks hurt, and the big rocks large enough to crack a windshield really hurt. I remember one time I took a big rock to the dome on my helmet and I thought I'd have to get a new helmet. So always be mindful of who you're riding behind on the freeway and give that Tonka truck some breathing room. Possibly even worse than getting hit by rocks is getting hit by big bugs. A large bug on your face shield will have a large enough impact to shock your senses, but also leave a big sticky splatter on your face shield, impeding your vision. Here in Texas, we have these giga-sized grasshoppers that are hard as hell and will just smack into your face shield, and it really sucks. Happens on track to me all the time. I gotta come in and clean my face shield off. They should honestly start making riding gear out of whatever the hell bugs are made out of, because that stuff is so strong that once a bug splatters on your face shield, you practically need a piping hot bag of hydrochloric acid and a jackhammer to get it off. Even worse than a nice serving of aerodynamic June bug pate is a wasp flying into your riding jacket or helmet. I don't think I need to explain any more about why this is a less than ideal situation. I've actually had this happen to me once before. A bee did get into my helmet and I just about pulled a Maverick Vinales and just ejected myself off the motorcycle. And the last road hazard that many motorcyclists have encountered is the lit cigarette butt making its way down your shirt. You're likely enjoying a nice leisurely ride in the country when an average cigarette enjoyer in their lifted 2006 Jeep Cherokee takes a moment to pause from committing acts of domestic violence to discard their smoked dart out of the window, which through some divine act of God manages to make it perfectly into your shirt. You still think smoking is cool? Yeah, watch out for those guys. Today's video is proudly supported by SysApp. This is a really cool motorcycle tracker system that's a little bit different than the other stuff you've seen on the market. One of the coolest things about this thing is that it's a one-time fee. There's no monthly subscriptions, no contracts, nothing like that. SysApp is very compact and discreet and very easy to install on your motorcycle. This is gonna give you real-time tracking for things like hits, crashes, low battery levels on your motorcycle, towing, and even device disconnection. You can also see the exact routes that you've done on your motorcycle using this and then share it with your friends, which is a really cool feature. SysApp is also a motion detector and they will ship worldwide via FedEx, which is super cool. Fans of the Yam are gonna get 10% off of your SysApp system using the code YAMMY at checkout and hitting the link down below. This is a really cool motorcycle tracker that has some really cool features, and I love the fact that it is not a pay-per-month system. You buy this thing once, you own it, you get to use it. So hit that link down below, use the code YAMMY to get yourself 10% off this very cool motorcycle tracker system. Now, back to the show. But don't worry, pain is not the only sensation that is heightened while on a motorcycle. Being out in the open on the back of a bike, and you'll start to notice just how palpable the sensory experience is. One of the most unusual sensory experiences you will likely not have experienced prior to riding a motorcycle is feeling just how different the temperature of the air is turn by turn. You'll be riding on one road on a hot 90-degree summer day, and as the road curves to the left, you'll be able to detect a significant drop in temperature, like you just drove through an invisible wall separating the two different areas. You'd think that air would sort of just homogenize in a local area, but it separates into tiny little microclimates. Look, I don't know, I'm not a meteorologist. All I know is when you go down low, sometimes it's colder. When you go up high, sometimes it's hotter. If you go really up high, it gets really cold. I don't know. But it's just one of those experiences when you ride that is very unique to motorcycling. Similarly, when you ride a motorcycle, you will recognize just how many smells there are in a given area. I feel like I'm the host of an educational children's show explaining the most basic principles of existence sometimes. The air has a temperature, smells smell smelly, but it's those little things you really don't experience when you drive a car everywhere. So yeah, you can smell all the smells on a bike. The smell of decomposing roadkill in the ditch beside you, juxtaposed by the burger joint a few blocks ahead, mixed with the smell of burning oil from the pickup truck in front of you. Or wait, is that burning oil smell coming from your bike? If you're a paranoid type, you'll probably also hear all sorts of sounds from other cars all around you and quickly assume it's a mechanical problem with your bike. That's another benefit of wearing earplugs when you ride. It masks a lot of phantom clicks and rattles from other vehicles, so you don't have to worry about constantly if your engine's gonna explode. If it truly were, there probably would be warning signs greater than a distant ticking sound you're not able to pinpoint. Or if you're like me and you ride a Ducati, it just rattles and makes weird sounds and you just get used to it. Something else people are reluctant to tell you about motorcycles is that it will not replace your car. It just won't. For some it will, for the very dedicated, but for the vast majority of us, no matter how much you try to convince yourself you'll save money on gas, that you'll have a better disposition at work when you can lane split as opposed to sitting in traffic, you'll always come back to the familiar, comfortable, and easy mode of transportation. The first day it is even slightly cold, you'll think, probably should have just taken the car today. That first time you're not 100% certain that you'll have enough storage space on your bike for groceries, you'll take the car just to be safe. And the first time you're running late and you don't have to put on all your gear, you'll probably just take the car. Motorcycles are great, but for most riders in America, it's a form of recreation, not a regular mode of transportation. Sure, commuting on nice days on your bike will be awesome, but you're lying to yourself if you think that you'll abandon car driving altogether. Riding a motorcycle is a kind of a lot of work. There's a lot of gear you gotta put on, you gotta take stuff out of your pockets and put them in your bag, you have to be very focused and attentive while riding. Sometimes, no matter how much you love riding, on certain days, the clutches of your cage will be hard to escape. When you first start riding, you'll learn about some common hazardous situations for motorcyclists. You'll know, like getting caught in a rainstorm or placing too risky of a bet at the Daytona Bike Week mud wrestling competition. But for a situation of motorcycle riding that can be sketchy sometimes, that doesn't get talked about much, is crossing bridges. Bridges as a whole are generally fine. Hell, you might even live in the Great Plains of America where you're less likely to come across a body of water than an attractive shopper at the Walmart. But certain bridges in certain areas can be kind of sketch, specifically if they have a particularly large graded area and if the holes in the grate are wide as hell. I've been on some bridges where the grading is so spaced out it literally feels like you're riding on ice because there is such little contact area between the thin grating and your tires. So if you find yourself riding on one of these particular grates, look down at the water below you, battling the wind that's blowing you to the side, thinking about if you crash in that moment, the cars behind you will run you over and push your flesh prison right through the gate, turning you into human ground chuck for the aquatic predators in the water below to enjoy as an afternoon snack. Just stay on the throttle, keep looking ahead of you, and trust that just like your relationship with your father, this moment will also come to an end. People who don't live in areas with this type of bridge are probably thinking, come on, you pansy. I ride my Harley CVO Tri Glide across the Vietnam Veterans Memorial 9/11 Awareness Desert Storm UAW Parkway Bridge every weekend on my way to meet the boys for the cold ones at Soggy Sandler Sandbar. It ain't that scary. But if you've ridden on bridges with those wide gates, you know what I'm talking about. It's also an odd feeling to ride across any bridge gate with the knobby tires. So yeah, it's something no one tells you. Bridges can be sketchy sometimes. I'm telling you, look out for them. You're welcome. Also, those weird little like graded systems in roads can sometimes cause your tire to wander and try to find a little micro rut. That's also weird. And the last thing that many people won't tell you about riding motorcycles is the sense of FOMO you get on a nice day when you're unable to ride. Whether it's unseasonably warm in the spring in the Midwest or unseasonably cool in the summer in the South, you know what ideal riding weather in your area is like. And unfortunately, likely due to all these gas-guzzling internal combustion engines and aerosol hairsprays ruining the ozone layer or something like that, absolutely ideal riding days are not as common as you may think. Either it's too cold or it's too hot. Or if you live in SoCal, it's perfect all the time and I hate you. Or if the temperature is perfect, it rains. And trust me, we still ride during all these days, but sometimes those absolutely perfect, gorgeous days will come around and you won't be able to ride. Maybe you'll be sitting in your car in traffic doing something unimportant like taking your wife to the hospital for the birth of your first child, and you'll see all the motorcycles lane split by you. They're fast, they're cool, they're likely younger than you and more handsome, or at least unbridled by responsibility and commitment. They're able to drop what they're doing at a moment's notice in order to hop on the bike and enjoy the beautiful day. Ah, I remember those days before I was stuck in this dungeon making these list videos. Or you're at work, rearranging the pencils in your pencil holder in alphabetical order, moving all the emails from your boss to your spam folder, counting down the minutes until you can punch the clock and continue with your human existence. Your eyes dart between the clock and the weather radar as you see a storm system that's scheduled to hit your area right at 5:01 p.m. And you know you will likely have missed the opportunity to ride this day. Your cubicle is windowless, but you can hear motorcycles passing in the distance, and each bike that passes symbolizes a moment in your life that you'll never be able to get back. You can't ride today, you likely won't be able to ride tomorrow, and then you'll think, well, I'll be able to ride when I retire, and then you realize that even if you end up being able to actually retire, that's still at least 30 years away, and the wave of despair washes over you again. So you quit your job, that way you can ride motorcycles whenever you want, and riding FOMO will be a thing of the past. But how will you pay for all the carbon fiber farkles you just bought with your credit card? Well, who cares? Doesn't matter. All that matters is you, your motorcycle, and the urge to go 186 miles per hour. Thanks for making it to the end of the video. What do you wish you knew before riding? Be sure to subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will catch you later. Fact: surgeons who play video games perform 27% faster and make 37% fewer errors. Goodbye. Well, look at you. You've made it to the end of another Yammy Noob video. You should consider yourself pretty lucky because I have curated this one right over here for you to continue watching. It's probably just as good as the one you just saw. Unless you hated the one you just saw. I don't know, maybe leave me a comment down below about how much you hated it as well too. Or just keep watching this one. Make sure you keep watching Yammy Noob. Don't forget to keep watching Yammy Noob. That's the most important thing. Keep watching Yammy Noob.